Alrighty, so before we do go ahead and close off the stream, and for those of you guys watching here on YouTube, we're going to be talking about Steve's hitboxes today, and I wanted to show you how kind of crazy this character's hitbox data is. So this is the weird thing about Steve. There aren't really too many hitboxes on him that are like quote unquote broken in like how big or crazy they are. But in functionality, they're kind of nutty. And I'm going to kind of break down some of these moves and sort of explain to you what are potential things that you can do with them. So a lot of the things that I said about him during like the analysis kind of seem to be made true about him. And I do want to do like a Steve like summary video of him of all the different things that people have found with him. But I'm going to hold off for a month just because people are finding there's so many crazy things to do with this character. So like overall, it's kind of hard to say how good this character is, but definitely there are a lot of positives about those characters, and there's some definitive drawbacks to him too. One of the main things that you are going to notice about all of his hitboxes is that, you know, they're not the most crazy, insane, large hitboxes, but some of the frame data on them is kind of nutty, and some of them actually have a really nice disjoint on them, and are actually even better than I expected them to be. So with all that being said, definitely like his big shortcoming is going to be not the best amount of range on him, but it's nothing that's kind of pitiful either. So we'll break these down and you'll kind of exactly see what you're dealing with. Cause like, honestly, these were pretty different from what I was expecting them to be with actually a couple of different moves. First up, we have the jab, and this is also going to double as his nair and the buffered short hop fair. And his short hop back air, which we'll get into a little bit. So, as I was mentioning earlier, gold is one frame faster than the regular jab. The rest of the jabs are the same. So, pretty much the only difference between this and gold is just the speed that it happens. So, on frame 4, this is when this comes out. And it's kind of interesting. So, it normally looks like there's a little hitbox above him whenever he's doing like the swipe, but it actually just starts here. So directly above him, it's a little bit weird, but because you can jump with it, it's not really an issue. He can cover in front of him and above him fairly well. So the hitbox actually is not, it starts like when it's already at a 45-degree angle and then covers that. And then he consistently has a hitbox in front of him. So even if he's landing, he's actually going to be able to hit you on frame 4 or 3 if you have gold. And then it's gone. So that's nice. And then basically you can see the difference here is 1, 2, and then 3. But it still keeps that 45-degree profile. So there's no difference there. The main one that becomes really different is punch. So this still is frame 4. So you can see like 1, 2, 3. And then, let's see. So 1, 2, 3. And then this is 4. But as you can see, this actually has no range to it, so he really does need the sword if he really wants to do anything. The move that's nutty, though, is up tilt, because like you can see, jab is -10. So if he's not moving backwards with his jab or his forward tilt, it's not safe. So that can be decently easy to punish. However, when we move to up tilt, this move is nuts. So if you have gold or if you have diamond or even stone, this is -1. So gold and diamond are -1. And if you move to stone, it's -2. Ridiculously safe on shield. And not to mention, the entire time he's able to move forward and backwards. So theoretically, if you're hitting with the final part of this, like the frame 9 part, so that's going to be 3 frames later, you can make this move +2 on block as you're moving around. So you could theoretically do up tilt into jab and be completely safe with it. Like, there's not really any characters that are going to beat that out. Even if you have a frame 3 out of shield option, that's still going to lose to this. That's how good that shield pressure is going to be. And not to mention, look at this hitbox. So the axe is going to be like starting like around here. So this is actually decently more disjointed than what the axe is. So even if Steve is right next to you and he's not that tall, like maybe Kirby might be able to duck under it, he still could actually like jab you from behind like this. And then like even in front of you, it actually has a decent hitbox in front of him too. Because you can see like this is the final hit. So you can like theoretically replace this with your jab. It's just that this would be a frame 9 move at that point. So that's not great. But the frame 6, that's still good. And he can still link that into other moves off of that as well. Not to mention that you can use your blocks to cover yourself there. So this move has ridiculously safe potential to it. And then again, when you get to the fist version of this, this is just not good. This is still pretty good for like hitting like right next to you, but like only the back hit. Like this is good for covering the ground. This front hit, probably not gonna hit anybody, but since you can move forward and backwards, you might be able to still like link it. Now down tilt, this move's kind of crazy. So with the way that this move works, it's actually +5 on block. However, there is a big asterisk to it. During the multi-hits, you can actually jump out and roll out of it. So you just need to make sure that the second this hits your shield, just buffer a jump or buffer a roll. And then you can just punish Steve for doing this because it's a 52 frame move. So definitely make sure you're taking advantage of that. But if you're a Steve player and they are not, and they're like not buffering that jump or the roll away, you can literally just do a jab and you will like be able to safely beat out any move that they do. Like it's that insane. Though I would stagger it though, because you are +5. If they do decide to drop shield, it may parry if they decide to like drop. So this is one of the moves that's a bit weirder with dash attack. So you know he swings the axe down, but look at this. So instead of it like following the axe, it's just 2 giant hitboxes that are on him. So like this one is like, because like this hitbox is so zoomed in, this isn't as big as it looks, but it's still a decent disjoint, and it's not like it follows the axe. And it lasts for a long time too. Like after the axe is already down, this hitbox is still there. So in total, it starts on frame 8, ends on frame 13. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you got 6 active frames there. So really good move there. Gold is still like the safest one, but it doesn't start any earlier. It's just that it ends earlier. But as you can see, when you go over to punch, it basically gets rid of that second hitbox. So it's still a nice active hitbox. So if you, for some reason, lost your mining tools, this still won't be a bad move to cover the ledge just because you have 6 active frames. Next, we're going to go over to forward smash. And this is the most surprising in terms of hitbox size, especially when we get to the fist. The fist makes absolutely no sense. Overall, good frame data on this. Starts frame 13, and you have 3 active frames to it, which is decent for an F smash, especially for how powerful this is. As you can see, not terribly safe on shield, especially since he moves forward. So it's pretty easy to punish. But if you look at this, it's a nice consistent swing. It doesn't follow the sword at all. It just kind of stays out. So really just a good disjoint on this move. Not really too much to cry home about. When you get to punch though, it's really weird because this move is still disjointed, but it loses the last hitbox there. So you could actually still like kind of pummel somebody with this with a pretty decent disjoint, like what you would expect the sword to cover. And now up smash. And we've kind of talked about how crazy this move is. Frame 8, and then this happens. So on frame 8, you get this thing on the ground. But like if you decide to jump, if you jump in, you're going to run to this. So you need to jump away when you're trying to punish this move. And this stays out for 2 frames. Or let's see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so 2 frames. So just make sure you jump away and then you just hit them for it. But still really good out of shield option in general. Down smash is a bit weird. Frame 8 option. But it starts off with this little hitbox there and then kind of flattens out. So if you don't think it hits you at first and then you drop shield, that might catch some people off guard because of like that final hit. Because this is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on the 5th frame is when it does that. So you can catch some people off guard with that. And if you hit the back hit, it's -16 on shield. With hitting the furthest space part of that down smash, you're going to have a pretty hard time punishing him. And then again, this is the same exact thing as jab. And this is what I mean about back air being kind of weird. So there's 2 back airs. There's the pickaxe back air, and then there's the buffered short hop macro back air. And if you look at this, this is basically the same as jab, except it's a little bit steeper than the 45, but just barely. So this comes out frame 4. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4. But you can see there's a bit of a blind spot here. So if you happen to drift there right afterwards, it might have some weird missing things. Like you go from this to that. So it'll be a little bit weird, but you do have this consistent hitbox right here. So still not going to be a bad move to land with. As you can see, this can only be done while rising. So there's no landing lag taken into consideration. So there's a lot of weird things with that one. So let's talk about the actual main fare that you're going to be dealing with, which is the Pickaxe. So this move is kind of weird. The first 2 frames, or let me see, 1, 2. Yeah, so the first frame actually does not have the spike, but then after that, it looks like the spike comes into play. If not, it's frame 3 that the first spike comes there. So when it comes out, you have this giant one up on top, and then down there, and then this. So the good thing is, while there's technically a blind spot, I don't think this will really ever come into play. It's just that if you're right below him, this isn't really going to connect. But as you can see, like the last couple hits, these are all spikes. So just aim for the later hits, and you will probably spike your opponent. And then, of course, if you get hit by the sour spot, then that's not going to spike either. So aim for the Pickaxe, and just don't aim for the beginning, and you'll spike them. And then, of course, if you do the fist, this is probably the worst hitbox of the game in terms of what it can do and the size. Like that's just bad. So you need to make sure you have your 2s available. The good thing is like your Pickaxe is way less likely to break than your sword is, so I wouldn't be as worried about that. And yeah, see, this is the sword jab I was talking about. A little bit similar to the back air jab, like the rising version, whereas it goes a little bit further down, and it starts a little bit higher than 45 degrees, but not by much. But it's basically the jab. And then the back air is like slightly bigger. And you have way less of a dead zone there, because you can see like this is so much more generous. And then like, if you just like look at that coverage, it covers below so nicely. It even covers above really nicely too. Whereas if you compare this to his forward air, this is significantly smaller. So like this is smaller and this is smaller. So it doesn't really cover above and below him as well. Whereas if you compare it to back air, really nice coverage above and really nice coverage below. So there is a pretty big difference between the 2 moves in terms of how the hitbox works and the size of them. But yeah, of course, you know, back air, this still is not a good hitbox, but it's significantly better than the forward air one is. It's just like, you know, instead of it coming out frame 8, this comes out 4 frames later. So you are trading off hitbox size and power versus speed. Up air, same exact thing as up air on the ground, as up tilt on the ground. So not really too much to talk about there. So pretty good overall, even this. So it's just ridiculously safe on shield. As you can see, diamond and gold are -1 on shield, iron -2, stone -3, and wood -3. So you can just do so many safe things with this, especially if you aim for the final hits. Because like keep in mind, like getting for the end of this, like even your punch would be -1. As long as you have this, you can be like even or plus on block, as long as you're doing that, you're hitting with the final hit. Down air, as you can see, ridiculous disjoint on this, really good hitbox. So not too much to talk about here. It's just a really nice, strong, and powerful one. And of course, you can get those shield break setups with it too. Can't really talk about this here. And this was the one that I was most interested in seeing, was the minecart. So you can see the hitbox itself is actually on the inside. So that's kind of the reason why you can hit Steve pretty easily when he's on the inside, because all you have to do is jump and hit him. And then this is where it gets weird, is when you jump and let go, it first is a hitbox, and then frame 6, you get the grab box. So once this happens, then I think this is like when you get like that overlap into the actual grab happening. So overall, the cart has a much better hitbox when Steve isn't inside it, but obviously the Steve ride hitbox is a lot stronger when you have that redstone. So a bit strange, but you're mostly going to get this from the grab from landing it on top of them. It seems like if it's running just like towards them, if they're shielding, this will grab them, but if they're not shielding, you'll probably get hit by the hitbox. Lastly, we'll just kind of look at this. Not really anything too exciting. It's just like there's a small hitbox on top of him, which is that. Doesn't really do much. It's very minimal. TNT is kind of nutty, because this comes out frame 2 actually. So frame 1, and you can see this thing's just gigantic. So like you could 2-frame every recovery with this. So I guess this is if you hit this is when you hit your teammate, and when you hit yourself, it's only concerned about the horizontals of it. And then if there's no like paddle with it, the thing is active for 2 frames, and it's just this big. So things to know about that. Grab's also kind of interesting too. So it works somewhat like Isabel's fishing rod, except it's consistent. So you have this little thing in front of you that comes out frame 13. So I think it's like the same frame data as Greninja's. Let me just make sure I have that correct. So I think Greninja's grab's actually that slow. Okay, no, Greninja's is frame 10. So let me check what Luigi's was. Luigi's might have been frame 13. Okay, yeah, so Luigi's grab was frame 14, so this is 1 frame faster than Luigi's. And then the thing comes out like this. So you can actually jump in between Steve and the fishing rod and punish him during this. But it gets like this nice little active part at the end. So keep that in mind. The main weakness to fishing rod is you can jump between him and the fishing rod to punish him. So that's what you're going to want to abuse because it's still 56 frames in total. Luigi's grab actually has less active frames. Like the FAF is only 47. But the grab is active from 14 to 20, where Steve is 13 to 27. So this is significantly more active, but it's way less safe than Luigi's is. Dash grab is 62, where Luigi's like 51. And this one's kind of weird. It follows the same arc as his regular grab. So little thing in front of him at first. So regular 2 frames there, and then gets the fishing rod. It's just that, of course, it's significantly slower. And then pivot grab is kind of funny. So 2 frames there. And then you'll get that. So if you're playing as like Kirby, you can kind of duck and avoid it until like it gets there. So if you duck in this area, you'll just avoid the grab. And I think Duck Hunt could do the same too. I think we're short enough that you could do it, but you might have to down tilt. The hitboxes aren't really anything to cry home about. This is just nice that he has the intangibility there. But of course, if you're playing doubles, know that the thing that comes out is actually a hitbox. No hitbox on back throw. Up throw, the thing that comes out is the hitbox. Down throw, the only thing that has a hitbox is the anvil. So you're going to be using forward throw to mess with the can. Same with up throw potentially. And then down throw, the ones that you'll use. But if you have no iron, no down throw, and no back throw. Well, just no down throw for the no iron. And yeah, that's kind of the way that looks. He has a really good magnet hands, as you can kind of see here. So he shouldn't really have any trouble recovering from that. And even from like this up, from his up B, that's a pretty good magnet hand that he has there. So he could actually aim a little bit lower. And if you look at this ledge hang, amazing. The entire hurt box is just below. So really, really good ledge hang there. So a lot of positives with his hitboxes. Again, the main issue that he has is that his mobility is not great. And then that his range is not the best either. So those are going to be the main things that you're going to exploit against him. However, though, he has so many mix-up potentials with the way that he can place blocks and throw his card out. And there's just like so many other things that have yet to be discovered with him. So regardless, he's always going to have amazing punish game because of his ledge trap potential and just because Cart sets up for that if you don't avoid it. And then also just like in general, like if he lands an up tilt, you could just take so much damage off that, even a jab. Sure, there's things that you can do like SDI, but it's going to be fairly minimal in the long run just because he's going to have the frame data advantage over you in terms of what he can do to mix you up after that. So definitely, this is going to be a character that's going to have a lot of development on his end to fight you, and there's going to be a lot of development to counterplay him. So it's going to be a really cool tug and pull balance between him and the rest of the cast that's kind of similar to Duck Hunt. But I would say that overall, I kind of have a feeling Duck Hunt's tools are going to be more universal overall, where some of Steve's tools are going to be super oppressive for certain matchups, or against other characters, he's not going to have he's not going to really have the ability to set them up against them. But regardless, like the second that he can get you trapped at a ledge, that's where it's going to be scary for him. So I'm excited to see what he has. A lot of people are having fun playing him. I had a lot of fun the one time that I just sat down and played with him as well. So I'm excited to see what people bring to him. I may have more videos on him later down the line. Nothing planned for the immediate future. I just kind of want to get this out there. The main video that I want to do like a month from now is kind of a roundup of all the important Steve tech to know about if you're playing as Steve and if you're fighting Steve. So that'll be something that'll happen in the future, but I want the Steve meta to have time to cook before I sit down and talk about that, so we're in a more comfortable position. It's just, we have the hitboxes here, and I can tell you exactly what these hitboxes can do, but it's going to be up to the players themselves to really just kind of develop what they do with them. So with that said, I hope you guys found this helpful. I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream, and as always, I appreciate your guys' support on here. And quick roundup, I did just finish up my final class for this entire semester. So I'm going to be working on that advanced tips duck hunt guide. So look forward to that at a certain point. Remember, script is done. I just need to film the footage for that. And then, of course, record the voiceovers for that. I also need to get back on doing the Smash stories. It's been a while since I've done that. And I'm going to be busy with making videos on here, as well as applying to jobs and other things. So those are the things that you can look forward to. So with that said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you'll sub to me on YouTube. Hope you guys continue to sub to me on Twitch as well. Remember, if we get those 15 sub points, then I can add extra emotes on there. Probably have some merch lined up coming up pretty soon as well. And, you know, considering that I am now recently unemployed, all that stuff, all the support that you give me on here is greatly appreciated. And I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the content so far. There's probably going to be some more random things thrown outside of Smash in here, like you saw with the Duck Hunt intro, just because I do want to work on my After Effects and other video editing techniques, and we'll see what other things on there. I may mount some of them, and some of them just might drop randomly, and then they'll just appear on your timeline. So look forward to more surprises like that, and I hope you found this little Steve thing helpful. So with that said, thank you guys so much for tuning in this stream. Thank you guys for watching. Leave comments down below if you have any more questions, and I'd be more than happy to discuss it with you here in the comment section, and also on the Discord as well. So with that said, thank you guys so much, and take care of yourselves until the next one.